Everything changed for the Seattle Seahawks in a matter of seconds this offseason, just completely turned upside down. Welcome to NFL Nexus, everyone. I'm your host, and today we're diving deep into an explainer that breaks down what is, without a doubt, one of the most precarious, high-stakes situations in the entire league right now. Real quick, before we get into the heavy stuff, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the explainer, and drop a comment down below with what you think about all this. And hey, if you want to support the channel directly, consider becoming a channel member. We really appreciate it. Okay, let's set the scene. Imagine the atmosphere around the Virginia Mason Athletic Center today. Just picture it. The fog is rolling off Lake Washington, and there's this heavy, almost eerie quiet settling into the hallways. We are literally looking at a franchise standing on the absolute edge of a cliff. The front office? They know it. The coaching staff? Oh, they definitely know it. Because this isn't just another year on the NFL calendar, guys. Not even close. This is a cinematic, high-wire rebuild playing out in real time right in front of us. The 2026 season for Seattle is a make-or-break campaign in every sense of the word. The decisions made by General Manager John Schneider in these shadowy, high-pressure corners of the offseason, they've set the stage. And we're either going to witness absolute, league-altering brilliance or total, undeniable catastrophe.
Look at this. The MVP is gone. I just want you to let the weight of those words sink in for a second. The Super Bowl MVP, Kenneth Walker III. He is no longer wearing a Seattle Seahawks uniform. This is a devastating departure. I mean, it literally rips the very heart and identity right out of this offense. You don't just replace a player of that absolute magnitude. You don't just, find another gear when the engine that drove you to the pinnacle of the sport casually walks out the door in free agency. To really understand the massive void he leaves behind, you've got to look at the micro details of his impact. Walker wasn't just getting loose in the open field for highlight reel plays. He was constantly, and I mean constantly, facing 8-man stacked boxes. Defenses literally built their entire game plan around stopping him. He generated absolute nightmares for linebackers in the fourth quarter, just completely wearing them down with those punishing yards after contact metrics. Actually, think about those moments when the offensive line broke down, right? When the play was completely blown up in the backfield before it even started. Walker had this sheer, freakish biomechanical power to break that initial tackle and somehow turn a guaranteed 3-yard loss into a 4-yard gain. The immediate impact of losing that safety valve, it's staggering. The whole identity of this team, that punishing, relentless ground game that completely demoralized opponents when the clock was ticking down, it's been fundamentally altered. So what changes now? Well, absolutely everything.
The sheer, honestly unnerving reality of this whole situation was perfectly captured by Yardbarker. They wrote, "Despite losing multiple key players, the Seattle Seahawks were relatively quiet this offseason." Quiet. Eerily quiet. And you have to think about the context of the modern NFL here. While the rest of the league was fully engaged in this massive financial arms race, teams just handing out hundreds of millions in fully guaranteed money, mortgaging their future cap space to sign big-name free agents and immediately patch up their roster holes, Seattle just sat there in total silence. They deliberately skipped the massive bidding wars. Instead, they placed a monumental, almost terrifying gamble on unproven depth and late-round draft picks. They are basically screaming to the league that they trust their internal scouting over proven NFL commodities. It is a calculated risk of truly epic proportions. If it fails, if these young players cannot execute at an elite level immediately, the front office is going to face a swift and brutal reckoning from the fan base and the ownership alike. No doubt about it.
Section 1. A franchise in transition.
So, because of this ridiculously quiet offseason, we're looking at a franchise that is forcing new, entirely untested faces right into the unforgiving, blinding spotlight of the National Football League. There is no veteran safety net to catch them if they fall anymore. Zero room for error. The developmental grace period? Yeah, that's over before it even begins. These young guys aren't being asked to simply contribute. They are literally being asked to save the season. The entire offensive weight now falls squarely onto the shoulders of a rookie, Jadarian Price, the first-round pick out of Notre Dame. And let's be clear, this isn't just about filling a spot on a depth chart. This is about pure absolute survival. With Kenneth Walker III gone to the highest bidder, and Zach Charbonnet enduring the grueling, agonizing recovery from that torn ACL he suffered in the playoffs, the entire focal point of the rushing attack early in the season belongs to Price. To really grasp the stakes here, I want you to picture the exact moment of Charbonnet's injury. The turf giving way, the immediate grab of the knee, the cart slowly coming out onto the field. He is currently navigating a brutal 9-month physical rehab just to rebuild the baseline strength in his leg. All of that psychological and physical weight, it transfers directly to a rookie. You are stepping into the shoes of a Super Bowl MVP in a city that demands absolute dominance on the ground. Now, look closely at this number, 13. That's the number of offensive touchdowns Jadarian Price scored at Notre Dame. But the context here is what's truly fascinating. He didn't do this as the sole, undisputed bell cow back carrying the ball 30 times a game. Not at all. He was heavily overshadowed by superstar Jeremiah Love. They split the reps, they split the glory, yet despite fighting tooth and nail for every single touch, Price found the end zone 13 times. I want you to think about the specific situational pressure of that dynamic. Imagine a critical 3rd and goal against the top-tier SEC defense. Price knows he might only get 1, maybe 2 touches in that entire quarter. He has to capitalize instantly. There is no getting into the rhythm of the game. It shows an innate, ruthless efficiency. When his number was called, when the window of opportunity cracked open for just a fraction of a second, he delivered the killing blow.
6.0. That is his yards per attempt average. 6 yards every single time he touched the rock. Now, you might be asking, why is maintaining a 6.0 yards per carry average so incredibly difficult at the collegiate level? Well, because elite defenses adjust. They key in on your tendencies. But Price has this incredibly unique running style. He's a violent, decisive, one-cut runner. If you actually sit down and watch his biomechanics, the way he drops his hips, plants his foot in the turf, and violently explodes through the A-gap before the scraping linebacker can even diagnose the play, man, it is a masterclass in reading leverage. And here's the crazy part. Because he split carries throughout his collegiate career, he is entering the ultra-violent landscape of the NFL with incredibly limited wear and tear. He has fresh legs. In a league where running backs age in dog years, taking hundreds of micro-collisions every Sunday that just slowly sap their explosiveness, Price's absolute lack of mileage is his greatest hidden asset. He possesses the explosive capability to become a true franchise back, and the Seahawks, they're demanding that he proves it on day one.
And you really have to look at the micro details of what else he brings to the field. His immediate impact goes way, way beyond just taking handoffs in the backfield. He is a certified lethal weapon on special teams. Guys, he averaged a staggering 37.5 yards per kick return in college. He took 2 of them back to the house for touchdowns. Let me paint a picture of one of those returns for you. Imagine catching the ball 2 yards deep in his own end zone. The initial immediate burst of acceleration to set up his blocking wedge. He was clocked hitting over 21 miles per hour, just slicing through the first wave of coverage defenders, before executing this devastating final cutback that completely broke the kicker's ankles. It's unreal. He must instantly become the focal point of the offense and a total game-changer on special teams to keep Seattle afloat while Charbonnet rehabs. If Price stumbles in those critical early weeks, this Seattle offense could completely flatline.
Section 2. Reloading the secondary.
Okay, shifting gears here. The tension on the defensive side of the ball is just as thick. The massive financial and personnel losses here are looming over the coaching staff like a giant dark cloud. The infamous dark side defense needs its enforcers, and they just lost one of their most vital chess pieces to a massive payday elsewhere. On one side, you have Kobe Bryant. He developed into a highly respected, absolute quality starting safety in Seattle. He disguised coverages masterfully pre-snap, his opposing passer rating allowed was incredibly low, and he almost never surrendered the deep, explosive play. And his reward for that level of elite execution? A massive 3-year, $40 million contract with the Chicago Bears. He's gone. Bag secured. On the other side, his replacement? Rookie Bud Clark, selected 64th overall. That is a $40 million void placed directly onto the shoulders of a second-round rookie. Now, while Julian Love and the incredibly versatile Nick Emenwari are still in the building, Emenwari's tendency to move all around the secondary as a defensive chess piece means Bud Clark is the vital next man up. Make no mistake, he is stepping into a $40 million shadow.
But why Clark? Why trust a rookie with that much responsibility? The number 84.2 tells the whole story. That is his elite run defense grade from PFF during his final college season. Yes, he had 4 interceptions and 7 pass breakups. He's undeniably great in coverage. But in the NFL, if a safety cannot step up into the box and brutally enforce the run, offensive coordinators will expose them immediately. They will run at them all, game long. Clark's staggering 84.2 grade proves he has the physicality. It's all about his pursuit angles, the ability to trigger downhill the absolute second he reads the offensive guard pulling across the formation. His tackling mechanics are straight out of a textbook, wrapping up at the thighs, driving his hips through the ball carrier, rather than just recklessly throwing a shoulder and hoping for the best. He routinely shut down premier collegiate running backs right in the gap, and the Seahawks expect him to bring that exact same physical enforcement to the NFL speed immediately. No learning curve allowed.
And listen, the financial gambles do not stop in the secondary. Look at John Schneider's calculated, perhaps even completely maniacal, veteran bet on the edge. Boye Mafe just cashed in on a massive 3-year, $60 million deal with the Cincinnati Bengals. How did Seattle respond to losing their premier edge rusher? By signing Dante Fowler Jr., who spent last season with Dallas. Now here's the kicker, and this is wild. Fowler recorded 3 sacks last season. Boye Mafe recorded exactly 3 sacks before signing his mega deal. Schneider is betting the entire defensive front on the belief that you can get the exact same pass rush production, the exact same pressure rate for an absolute fraction of the cost.
See, the thing is, Fowler doesn't need to be a $60 million superstar. He doesn't need to play every single snap and play the run on first and second down. He is here to be the third down specialist. He's actually rejoining his former Cowboys teammate DeMarcus Lawrence, so their chemistry is already forged in the fires of the NFC East. Think about how they executed complex line stunts together in Dallas. Specifically, I'm talking about the TE or tackle end stunt. It's a thing of beauty. Lawrence would crash inside, violently eating the double team from the offensive guard and tackle with his sheer physical power. And that allows Fowler to loop underneath completely untouched directly into the quarterback's face. When the game is on the line, when the crowd is absolutely deafening, and the defense desperately needs a clutch third down stop to get off the field, that is exactly when Fowler's veteran instincts must pay off. If this budget signing works, Schneider looks like an absolute genius. If it doesn't, the pass rush completely collapses.
Section 3, the 7th round sleeper. All right, now we're looking at pick number 236, a gritty, high-upside gamble that perfectly embodies a cinematic underdog story. Enter cornerback Andre Fuller. Just follow this timeline with me, because this is the kind of player whose journey makes you hold your breath. Fuller didn't have major college offers. He was overlooked, cast aside by the big programs who obsess over unproven athletic testing in shorts and a t-shirt. He enrolled at Arkansas Pine Bluff and immediately made his presence felt with 29 tackles and 14 pass breakups as a true freshman. He ground his way to a transfer to Toledo, where he became a solid, dependable role player. Then, absolute tragedy struck. In 2024, his season was completely lost to a devastating injury. We are talking about a severe lower body fracture requiring surgical plates. Think of the isolated, lonely hours in the training room, the agonizing process of rebuilding his footwork, his back pedal, his sudden changes of direction entirely from scratch. Most players fade into absolute obscurity at that point. Not Fuller. He returned in 2025 with a total vengeance, having a national-level breakout year. 49 total tackles, 11 pass breakups, an interception, and a fumble recovery. He quite literally forced the NFL to look at him.
So the crucial point is, why Seattle? Why did they draft him? Because Fuller is the absolute physical embodiment of their dark side defense. He is a solid 6'1", 200 pounds. And let me tell you, he hits harder than almost any other corner in this draft class. He's a violently aggressive open field tackler with pure ball-hawking instincts. Yes, he has flaws, and we have to be analytical about them. He lacks that elite top-end track speed, and his specific hip stiffness is a massive vulnerability in the modern NFL. When he's facing an elite route runner, someone like an Amon-Ra St. Brown or a Cooper Kupp, that hip stiffness gets exposed on whip routes or double moves. The split second his hips lock up during the transition from a smooth backpedal to a downhill aggressive break, an elite receiver creates 2 yards of separation. But his mindset? His sheer aggression in zone coverage, his willingness to come up and lay the absolute wood on a receiver crossing his face? That makes him an instant cultural fit. He is a day-one special teams enforcer who could fight his way onto the 53-man roster out of sheer, unadulterated willpower.
Section 4, the looming mega extension.
As we zoom out from these late-round rookies, we have to look at the macro-level stakes that are threatening to tear this roster's cap space completely apart. There is a massive financial ticking clock sitting right in the middle of the front office, and its name is Devin Witherspoon. To understand the gravity of this, look at the current cornerback market hierarchy. The entire stratosphere has shifted. Trent McDuffie just reset the board with a blistering $31 million a year deal with the Rams. Sauce Gardner is sitting at $30.1 million. Derek Stingley Jr. at $30 million. But you have to ask yourself, why are these numbers so high? What makes a $30 million cornerback in today's NFL? It's about taking away an entire side of the field, literally cutting the playbook in half. It's about scheme versatility. Having a lockdown corner allows a defensive coordinator to stack the box against the run or blitz heavy packages because they know they have a player who can survive alone on an island in zero coverage. That kind of profound schematic freedom costs $30 million. And Devin Witherspoon is looking right at these exact numbers, preparing his demands.
Make absolutely no mistake, Witherspoon has elite, undeniable leverage. Let's just quickly revisit his rookie season in 2023. He logged 16 passes defensed and a monstrous 97-yard pick-6 against the Giants. Just analyze that specific play for a moment. He read Daniel Jones's eyes from the snap, he recognized the route combination, perfectly diagnosed the flat route, and beautifully jumped the passing lane. The biomechanics of his break, catching the ball entirely in stride without losing a fraction of a second of momentum, followed by the pure acceleration down the sideline, that is rare, generational instinct. In 2024, he proved his extreme physicality with 98 total tackles. And last season, in 2025, despite missing 5 games early on, he was named a second-team All-Pro and graded out as PFF's absolute best cornerback in the entire league. Now, Seattle already exercised his 5th-year option for 2027 at over $21 million, but Witherspoon isn't waiting for 2027. No way. He wants a deal that shatters the ceiling, and he wants it before training camp.
What makes this truly cinematic is the intense, behind-the-scenes drama unfolding right now. It is a high-stakes game of contract chicken. Devin Witherspoon and Patriots superstar cornerback Christian Gonzalez are both represented by the exact same agents at CAA. The entire league is holding its breath. Which front office blinks first? This is a classic, brutal tactic. Agencies will intentionally use players against different franchises to drive the overall market up. And it's not just about the overall $30 million average annual value, or AAV. It is about the specific mechanics of the guaranteed money. What percentage of that contract is fully guaranteed at signing? If New England pays Gonzalez first with a massive signing bonus and unprecedented guarantees, that specific structure instantly becomes the floor, the absolute bare minimum for Witherspoon. The longer Seattle waits to lock him down, the higher the guarantee floor rises, and the more expensive the ransom becomes for the Seahawks.
Section 5. A make-or-break year.
So we arrive at the precipice. You take the crushing loss of a Super Bowl MVP running back. You factor in the incredible, suffocating pressure on a rookie class tasked with replacing $40 million defenders and executing complex schemes on day one. You add in bargain bin veteran gambles trying desperately to replace the production of $60 million edge rushers, and you top it all off with a looming, market-shattering contract negotiation that could completely redefine the franchise's financial future and salary cap flexibility for the next decade, which leaves us staring at one defining, inescapable question. With a roster built on razor-thin rookie ambles, budget veteran replacements, and a looming mega deal, will the strategy actually pay off? Or will this be the season the grand illusion shatters, plunging the franchise into a painful, multi-year rebuild? One thing is for certain, this isn't over yet. The drama of 2026 is just beginning. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Remember to subscribe to NFL Nexus, like the explainer, and drop a comment below with your specific predictions for this terrifyingly quiet Seattle offseason. And again, support the channel by becoming a channel member. We'll see you in the next one.